Hello and welcome to Just Hoops. In today's video, we're going to change it up a little bit from every week. We're going to do Team of the Week this week with the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies had a great week, winning their last 4 games and 3 in the past week, and they just look really good. They're playing really high-level basketball, and we're going to look at what making them so successful recently, starting at the offensive end of the floor. So offensively, the Grizzlies are based on the inside. Their whole offense is predicated on getting in the paint and making plays the outside. Typically, their spacing is 4 around 1, and the big floats, whether that means setting a screen or playing off the elbows, finding space on the porch. It's just very flexible in how they play, but a lot of their offensive actions come off of elbow touches with Adams or elbow touches and post touches with Jaren Jackson Jr., but they also like getting their guys coming downhill. So there's a lot of times that they'll get their guys on wide pins or on staggers or force curl actions. And it's really just to get action going toward the paint, making the defense collapse, allowing kickouts, and then able to attack closeouts or get open threes. A lot of the offense, though, is based on getting the paint. So when things break down, it turns into a pick and roll. They're trying to get deep, trying to get to the rim, get fouled, or get an easy 2. If they can't get that, it turns into let's get the ball to the guys in their spots, whether that means Jaren Jackson Jr. ripping a closeout, or if that means Ja in space working, or if that means getting Banes in a pick and roll where he can make a play. We'll talk later about Banes and Ja more. But just to reiterate, from a philosophical standpoint, Coach Jenkin's offense is based on getting inside and playing off of paint touches consistently in a variety of ways. But first things first, they like running. Whenever they have a chance to get out on the break and make a play downhill early and often, they do it. They got 4 guys basically on the floor at all times that could push themselves, if not 5, depending on smaller lineups. They have depth that is skilled out of the wazoo. They got off the bench, Killian Tilly, Tyus Jones. They got Dillon Brooks when he's back and healthy. They got just a variety of guys that can go out there and make plays with the ball in their hands and do a variety of things in a variety of spots, making their offense so flexible. Along with that, they just got guys that can go out there and make for their own, like John Desmond Bane, that we'll talk about later, that a lot of the offense is based on their guard play. One thing about their offense that could bring them to the next level is the play of their forwards and bigs. They just like getting the bigs the balls to force the defense, I think, to guard in those positions to make the other team's bigs uncomfortable, which is really smart and creative on their part. I just enjoy watching it because you can see them manipulate based on different matchups. Like when they played Phoenix, they really tried to get the JaVale McGee in a lot of action to guard. When they played the Lakers, it was a lot more switching, so it was a little bit different in how they attacked them. And it's just fun to see how they get their guys downhill, get to the paint, and make plays. The Grizz are sitting at the number 7 ranked offense right now, and I think that they can only get better from here. So now let's dive in and talk about Coach Jenkins and the Grizzlies' defense. As a defense, the Memphis Grizzlies are middle of the pack ranking-wise, but let's talk about more philosophically, and then let's get into technically what they do that has made them successful in this past week. So, as a priority, the defense wants to protect the paint. They really pack it in. They do everything that they could to make it really tough on teams when they get in the paint to finish or to even make a play once they're down there. A lot of the turnovers they force come in the paint or come in the post due to the presence that they bring to the strong side and really load up the paint. So technically how they do this is in their shell. You can see that they load the nail and they bring the big over to the strong side. They like trying to keep the big as the low man, where typically he would plug the rim and really load up. And they do that every possession. Like Steven Adams is a true presence at the rim, and if he's not in, it's typically Jaren Jackson Jr. and then also Brandon Clark. Those are the 3 guys that you'll see on a consistent basis really floating in the paint, making it tough on teams, clogging the lane, taking away spacing. Like it's really tough on teams to get downhill and make a play down there if there's always a big body presence there, which also can relate to how they load up the nail. Their loading of the nail makes it tough on teams to get middle penetration first all, but if they do get that middle penetration, you know that there's a big guy sitting at the rim. Just overall, that's their main gist defensively. And then let's talk about their ball screen coverage, since ball screens are so predominant in today's basketball world. So their primary coverage is an over and drop with a big drop and deep. And then they're also able to switch switchables, but if it's a mobile big or a situation that's non-switchable between guards, it's a hard show and they go over the screen. I really like how up into the ball and how physical they are at the point of attack on a consistent basis, whether that means in coverage or just overall pressuring and guarding the ball one-on-one. Their ability to pressure the ball can also go back to how they really load up the paint. They pressure the ball and force drives, run guys off the line, and really force them to try to make plays in the paint that they have loaded. And try to get past the nail. Try to attack that guy and make a play. Try to attack the big at the rim and make a play down there too. And also, we're going to close out on you, make you put it on the ground and dribble into the mid-range. So overall, they do a really good job at making it analytically pleasing defense where they try to force a ton of mid-range and a ton of floaters, which aren't the best shots analytically, but could be very good shots depending on the guy. So now let's take a second to break down this slob action where we can put together some of the things we've said so far in this video defensively. So off-ball actions, they like chasing. So you can see this with the Malik Monk cut and the Avery Bradley cut. They really fight over, chase them, force them to the rim. And now look at Kyle Anderson from a ball pressure perspective. He gets up into the ball, really makes LeBron back up all the way to half court to make a play. On the screen, it's a non-switchable, so it's a hard show and over. They show up and force them to put the ball on the ground when they're hunting a three. And on that, you can also see Jaren Jackson Jr. loads up the strong side. Their presence and ability to really run guys off the line and pressure the ball made them successful in this late game situation. Now, overall, technically, they do a really good job at just getting into the ball, pressuring, flying around, just doing these little things that makes any defense successful, but to them, it's make or break. If you're not up into the ball, there's no reason to really have that backside loaded. It could just be picking and choosing when to throw that skip, when to hit the porch, when to do those little things as an offense that can constantly produce points. Being up into the ball and pressuring and really impacting what the offense is trying to do at the point of attack makes the defense successful from the jump. Another technical thing that I want to talk about is post-ups. When the ball feeds the post, they load up that strong side. They bring the big over, sit on that strong side block. They stump from the top side. They like forcing to the baseline side to like make the post player make a play versus a big with a guy on his back. It's just a really hard position for any offensive player to make a good play. Other than that, overall, when the ball's coming downhill, it's contained. If they're coming off in an action, the main primary thing is contain. If you can't fight over it, that means get under it and get in front of the ball, force them to back it out and make a play downhill. Overall, watching them this week, watching the film, I think the defensive end of the floor was a major reason in their success. They did a really good job at all three levels, whether that meant on the ball, getting into it, making them uncomfortable in the gaps, stunting, stabbing toward the ball, deflecting passes, forcing turnovers. And then on the third level at the rim, they were always present. They always had an impact there, regardless of the lineup, regardless of who was the low man. They always had someone there making plays and loading up and making it really tough for the offense to make plays downhill in the paint. Another thing that they have a tendency to do is star players from the perimeter like a Devin Booker and also shooters like Doug McDermott from the Spurs. They showed that they liked denying them and not sagging off, no help. They really get into them for the full possession. It turns into a 4-on-4 with a box and one almost, how they deny and don't help off of the guy. Their ability to take a shooter out of the play, to take a big-time player out of the play. Devin Booker had a rough night when they played Phoenix. He couldn't get much rhythm going due to the pressure on a consistent basis. Tough catches, tough time getting downhill when he had the ball in his hands due to the amount of bodies they showed him in the gaps and also just how they were actively on the ball. Doug McDermott couldn't get a clean catch for most of the night unless if it was off of a breakdown. But this tendency that they show is really a good idea by Coach Jenkins and his staff to take out a big-time shooter to destroy spacing, to make it even more beneficial to have the paint loaded. Taking spacing away and clogging the paint are two things that can make any offense stagnant in any situation. So to wrap things up about the defense, they do things really well, and they showed a lot of really good things this past week. And I think that their 14th ranking in defense will change over time if they're able to bring this amount of pressure, this amount of effort on a consistent nightly basis. So now, time to talk about the dynamic backcourt. of Ja Morant and Desmond Bane that has been putting the league on notice. So first, let's take a look at Desmond Bane. Bane has been playing phenomenal so far this season, averaging 17.2 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 2.2 assists. He was a big reason why they won 10 games without Ja Morant. He's shooting at a really high clip, 46.5% from the field, 41.3 from 3, 92.3 from the line, a borderline 50-40-90 guy. He's just doing it at all three levels for Memphis. He's able to put it on the ground, make plays to the rim. A really nice finisher in transition. He can hit a mid-range jumper off one or two bounces, attacking closeout. But one thing that makes him stand out and makes him so valuable alongside of Ja is his ability to knock it down from deep. He shoots over 40% from there, and he's very consistent and able to do it in a variety of ways. So that whether that means moving off the ball or whether that means creating his own shot, he's just been doing it all for Memphis, and he's a big reason why they've been so successful this past week and so far this year. Now let's talk a little bit about the star of Memphis, Ja Morant. Morant on the season is averaging 24.7 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, and 6.6 assists. And he's being really efficient with those 24 points per game, shooting it at 48.5 from the field and 40% from 3, which is a career high for him. His ability to shoot from deep is going to be the X factor that allows him to grow as a player and even be more unstoppable. He's really good when he gets downhill. He's able to finish with both hands. He's an incredible float game in the pick and roll. He's great as a ball handler, whether that means as an ISO guy or in the pick and roll. He's able to get downhill, play at his pace, make plays for himself and his teammates, and he's just really smart with the ball in his hands. As a playmaker, averaging nearly 7 assists per game is special. His impact for the Memphis Grizzlies goes beyond any stat category, and he just plays with such a swagger and such a way to manipulate and control the game at a variety of levels. On defense, he flies around and makes plays. On offense, he's a highlight reel just waiting to happen, whether that means dunking on someone or a floater or a game winner. He had a game winner in Phoenix this past week. And overall, his ability to just do it. He goes out there and he just hoops. Him and Desmond Bane together have been incredible for Memphis this past week. And overall, I think as the season continues to go, they'll just solidify themselves as one of the best young backcourts in basketball. One thing that makes both of these guys incredibly special is their ability to do it in late game situations. The Grizzlies put in Ja's hands in pick and rolls in the fourth quarter, and if Ja's denied or if Ja can't make a play, it goes to Desmond Bane, and it's Desmond Bane's time to make a play with the ball in his hands. Both of these guys are more than capable to get downhill, make a play, find an open teammate, just be smart with the ball in their hands. Ja Morant, in this clip, looking to make an incredible finish at the rim to win the game against Phoenix. These plays come on a consistent basis, and overall, the Memphis Grizzlies are looking like a team that is going to be hard to beat in the Western Conference. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned something about the Memphis Grizzlies on the offensive and defensive ends of the floor, and about their dynamic young backcourt duo of Ja and Desmond Bane. So for more videos like this, please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you guys in the next one.